to turn on my Wi-Fi, perhaps. Just has having connection issues. Okay, and that, my friends, is why I came on here to make this live video slash video. So, the toughest job in the entire world goes to the stay-at-home mom. I don't even want to hear it. In fact, no, not just the stay-at-home mom, the conscious stay-at-home mom. Sorry, I'm just a primping. I didn't do any primping or looking over of self prior to coming on here. Anyway, who cares? I'm a stay-at-home mom. I get a pass. So, I know what I'm doing is nothing new. Many moms have done it. But, hey, we all should tell our stories, huh? Being a stay-at-home mom is the toughest job in the world. And as I said, being a conscious stay-at-home mom is an even tougher job. And what do I mean by that? I mean that if you are the mother that has had an awakening in years past or even recently, and you consider yourself to be spiritually evolved, meaning that you like to tune in to the now, you like to be present, it can be quite torturous when that now is constant chaos. Yes. So I have a 1 and a 3-year-old. And at one point I was just a stay-at-home mom and I was not working. But now I work a night job, part-time as a waitress. But all during the day I'm on my first job, the toughest job, which is being at home with my 2 little ones. We have 1 car in our household, which is by design because we most certainly don't, we're trying to build wealth. So that means to have 2 cars is to have possibly 2 car notes, which I'm anti-car note, but hey, we broke down, we leased a car, now we have a car note. But even if you don't have a car note, you're paying what? Insurance. And then depending on what city you live in, that insurance can be mighty high or expensive. So here we are. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm saying all that to say I'm at home most of the time with no car. On a cold day like today, pretty much stuck inside with all the chaos. In a city where I don't have much family, pretty much no family, because to me, family that is here but is not supportive equals no family. So the couple family members that I do have, there isn't very much support. And trust me, I've made the attempts for support. I've expressed my need to get away. I've expressed my need to even get help. Now, maybe right in the moment, I may not reach out and say, hey, can you come and do this? Can you come and do that? Well, yes, I do. Or I've even said to one cousin, like, hey, whenever you're hanging out or whenever you're in town, let me know. I could always get away. Hey, in the evenings, let me come hang out. I be needing time away. So, because I never really get feedback, I am forced to, in the evenings, if I don't have to work, when my husband gets home, I am forced to go do what? More work. Make a store run, make a grocery store run. Or go to places where other people are. And I need my quiet time. That's the point. I need the quiet time. I am a person that loves silence and quiet, and I love to be left to my own devices for extended periods of time. I'm not that person that is afraid of being by themselves. I absolutely, positively love it. It gives me life. I love being around people too. but I love my alone time. So not being able to get that sufficiently in over 3 years makes for an interesting character. And my 3-year-old left this vibration on this bouncer. Let's go check on these little ones and see what's happening. Okay, my daughter's decided to make an airplane. That's what she calls an airplane. By taking the mattress halfway off the bed and kind of creating the seesaw effect. And then me just going in there checking on them just gave me company here. Oh no, darling. You're not about to use my legs as a bridge. Oh no. No. Rhea, that can hurt. That can hurt. We're not gonna do it. So like this, your every move is an opportunity for them to put you to work, to use you for their own purpose or their own amusements or their own fun. And I know I might sound like a bitter mom, but let me be honest. Oftentimes I am a bitter mom. I went through a whole lot to bring them into the world. I experienced what some call complicated pregnancies, but I now know them to be miracle pregnancies. That there was some complexities in them. Rhea, can you stop hanging on my foot, please? Thank you. Yeah, there was some complexities because I had to be on bed rest through majority of the time through both pregnancies. In a city where I didn't have family, I had no support. My husband had to go back to work, so he couldn't be at home to wait on me as I was supposed to have been waited on. So I still had to get up on my feet when the doctor's orders was to stay off your feet. But somehow I managed to bring these two lovely girls into the world, healthy as can be, intelligent and bright as can be, with no issues at the time of birth. Having a flawless birth, you know, unlike some mothers who didn't have a complex pregnancy. Not bragging, but just saying that that's just the interesting thing about the whole ordeal is that there are mothers that had healthy pregnancies. They were vibrant. They were able to go wherever they wanted to and show off their pregnant bellies and bodies. That wasn't me majority of my pregnancy. Majority of my pregnancy, I had to be inside on bed rest. And so I didn't get all the joy of being pregnant and out and receiving all the love and the beautiful energy that comes to a pregnant woman when she's showing in all her fullness. Now, I experienced a little bit of it because after I was ready to drop, you know, ready to give birth, when I was really close to being ready to give birth, like in maybe 36 weeks, the doctor okayed me for moving around. And so I had like, a few days of being able to, I'll even say maybe a week of being able to be out and about and receive all that love that pregnant women get. People holding doors open, people smiling at you like you got a halo around your head and like you're just an angel. So I got to experience a little bit of that. Oh, excuse me, choking on coffee. So a lot of what I had to go through, including me bumping heads with hospital personnel, because as I said, I'm a conscious mom, so I was turning down all sorts of shit. I had a natural birth. I gave birth at home, but my aims in both pregnancies was to give birth at home. And majority of the laboring process, the labor of love, I'll say, took place at my residence in my bed. And in both cases with both my daughters, when I got to the hospital, they were like, well, in one case, my doctor was like, "Did you try to give birth at home?" Because they were like, "You pretty much could have had this baby at home." I was told that in both my pregnancies, like, "Oh, you were already ready." And that's what I was aiming for at home. But then when I felt like things weren't progressing, I got scared. I'm like, well, I don't want the baby to come out sideways, or maybe the baby's stuck. And, so then I was just like, okay, after going through the motions, I'm like, oh, I'm scared. I thought that the pain, or as I called it at that time, the loving sensations, the sensations of pregnancy, because we didn't want to refer to it as pain. We wanted to refer to it as sensations. But as they continued to intensify and intensify, I kept thinking, well, maybe this is too painful. Maybe it's because the baby is sideways. It was all these things that was going through my head. So I broke down, went to the hospital. And in both cases, with both my daughters, it was like this acknowledgement of the fact that you could have had these babies at home. So anyway, I had a natural birth at the hospital. With my first child, they wouldn't let me sit up. It was so many people in the room. I was damn near fighting people off of me, like, you can't tell me what to do. Get off of me. So I pretty much gave birth to my child in that traditional position, my first child. My second child, it was like only 2-3 people in the room. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. I asked my doctor, I said, can I, squat? Can I sit up in a squat? She said, yeah. As long as you let me guide you and you follow everything I'm telling you, you can definitely do that. And I did, and we worked beautifully together. It was such a beautiful time. And they were just amazed at my strength, at my power, at my ability to listen and follow instructions. Because my youngest, she wanted to come out still in the sack. So the sack hadn't, burst. It hadn't opened yet. And they were like, okay, wait a minute. Don't push. Stop. So they had to puncture it, and they said, okay, now, slow, breathe, slow. And I was following it all. So there was a lot of beauty in those stressful times as well, but it was a lot of stress and uphill battles. And in my first pregnancy, I had to fight against the system and the hospital personnel in my avoidance of unnatural shit and all the fear tactics. My second pregnancy, they were in a totally different hospital. They were really, really, they were willing to bend to my desires. It was such a beautiful experience. It really was. So I don't plan on having any more children, but if anybody I know does, I will definitely be recommending that hospital. Because if you are the mother that is anti unnatural, shit during your time of pregnancy, this hospital is one that, for the most part, I mean, of course, they're still a part of the system, so they're still going to try to use certain fear tactics. Like, they wanted to induce me, and I said, no way, Jose. You're not inducing me. Because it was this thing where, what was it? What do you call it? Where the situation in my second pregnancy was that the placenta was, what is it? Placenta previa. I think that's what it's called, where the placenta supposedly is kind of covering the opening. So that was what the complication was in my second pregnancy. And so they felt like, well, maybe the placenta won't move by the time you're ready to give birth, so we may need to induce you. And they used all this fear stuff. Well, you might not make it. The baby may not make it. I don't care. I'm going to wait it out. And I left the hospital. And, the doctor said all this crazy stuff. But once I went into labor and I started pushing and going through the motions here, not here in this space, but the space before this one. When I went back, it was a totally different story. There was, my placenta had moved and everything. Let's go see something here. This is the stay-at-home mom experience. When you get going on a project and things, you got the little ones doing all sorts of stuff. Okay. I just got little miss destroying my books. Yes. One of my soft spots are my books. I'm serious about my books. There's my bookshelf. And as you can see, there's a hole right there of where these little ones decided to take a chunk of my books out. But yeah. And the proverbial, not proverbial, but I guess that's not that much of a mess. I guess some parents would say, "Oh, I've seen worse. That's nothing." Yeah. So, I'm surprised that I'm able to make this video almost effortlessly. Because part of why I felt inspired to even come on and just go live and open my personal world up to the world is because I'm like, well, this is what my Soul Secretions account is about anyway, opening myself up. And I was sitting here trying to do a reading, and I kept getting all sorts of interruptions. And every time I try to do any of my spiritual work, my creative projects, even when I used to write consistently in my journal, my little ones just would not let up. It's almost like they knew when my energy was being directed to anything outside of them. And they would always come and intrude in the most annoying of ways. And all of that made for a very bitter mom because I am a Virgo. And I am very much the typical Virgo for the most part. I love my alone time. I am a hermit by nature. I love to be left to my own devices. When I have my eyes set on a goal and stuff is continuously getting in my way that's not helping me reach that goal, and it's just so mundane, I get downright ignorant and bordering on evil, if not that. And I'm not afraid to say it. They've seen my horns come out, y'all. Y'all might see my horns come out. Yeah. I'm not really big for putting my kids on camera, so if you hear me or see me making reference to my children, but you don't really see them, that's on purpose. Because I just want to leave that up to them. They may grow up and be like mama, where they want to be more so private about, their personal lives. And I feel like it's unfair when they're this age to be putting them all over the internet for people they don't even know, people I don't know, to be just having this full access to them. And this is not knocking anybody who does it. You do what you called to do, but I don't feel called to be highlighting all the nuances and beautiful character traits and funny, peculiar things that my children do. I don't feel called to share that in excess with the world. So I'm not saying I'll never do it, but I'm just saying that's not my MO. Rhea, I told you that you're not climbing up on me. See, every time I sit down, it's like I'm furniture to them, or I'm a jungle gym. I stay constantly. Rhea, don't take over it. Give it back. Look. I stay having to say to them, look, I am not your servant. I serve you, yes, from time to time. Yes, I do serve you each day, but I'm not your servant. There's a difference. So, oh, she almost fell off my leg. I was rocking her back and forth. See, I can't even do this without her thinking, this one here, thinking my legs got to be a bridge. I can't do this here without her thinking that my leg or foot has to be a sort of swing for her to hang on and for me to basically do exercises with her hanging on my foot. That's what she likes for me to do. For her to be on my foot and me go like this.
Exercises.
No, it's like if they think my entire existence is for them. No.
I need to.
So, being a stay-at-home mom, I didn't really even get all the way down into the heart of it, which is really more so on some complaining. This is the lighter side of it, but I want to warn y'all, there probably is going to come a time in the near future. Quiet while I'm talking. There's going to come a time in the near future where I am going to probably come on here ticked off, for lack of for lack of more rude wording, or not rude, but vulgar. There you go. For lack of more vulgar wording, there will be times when I probably won't come on here so pleasant. But the whole idea of Soul Secretions is that I want to share parts of what's oozing up from the depths of my soul. And that means not just the sexy, spiritual, like just spiritually evolving stuff, but it's also the stuff that's ugly, dark, unpleasant, because we all deal with it. And I just think it's important, especially as a mother, staying at home with her children, because she just doesn't. Rhea, I said to get down. As a mother who doesn't find it to be normal, at least just for me, like I said, this isn't knocking anybody else. I just don't see the normalcy, not normalcy, but I don't see how it's right to turn your kids over at a really small age before they get fully acclimated to you as a parent. I don't feel it right to turn them over to strangers. Like, I want to lay a foundation first before other people have a chance, or other children whose parents may have laid some sort of crazy foundation. I don't feel that it's right for my children to be exposed to those other energies at such a young age before they've had a chance to be in the energy field of mama and daddy, who has, especially mama, who has done the spiritual work, who has transformed themselves for the soul's sake of affecting their environment in a positive way. And now that I have these two girls, they are part of my environment, and I want to infect them, so to speak, with these good energies before. And even not everything is all good, but even in the not so good energies, it's still a lesson. It's still from a very conscious, very spiritually anchored place and space. And I can't guarantee that at, let's say, a daycare or a Montessori school or whatever. And so that's why I've been spending time being a stay-at-home mom, sacrificing when I don't have to. But that may be getting ready to change soon, because I do feel comfortable with a place that is up the street. They have cameras where you can watch your child like the entire time. My children are very sociable now, and it'll probably only be a few days out of the week and just for a few hours that they go up to this. It's called University Kids, and it's wonderful. I love like the curriculum. I love the activities. They have Spanish immersion. They have they teach them how to eat properly at dinner time, how to eat together. They teach them table manners, all sorts of neat things that the director was telling me about. So I feel really, really good about that. And the fact that I have full access to the facility by way of camera, or just even going up and perhaps looking in whenever I want. Bria, I'm going to make you leave my room if you don't stop. I'm not playing. So yeah, I feel really, really good about it. And the director, like, she had a really warm personality, and I just loved how she was so attentive to her environment. You know, she was really attentive. Like, she would constantly tell me, hold on, while she was explaining stuff, and she would talk so lovingly to the children or the parents that she was interacting with in the background, and I just got such good vibes. So yes, I am going to be opening my little ones up to some other energies now, but before, like family members, daycares, I was very, very, and I still am, like, I won't just leave them with any family members. Like, no way, Jose. I don't care. I don't care how good people think they are with children. It's like, no, no, no. I'm just particular about what they eat, what they're exposed to, what they watch. They don't watch a whole lot of television. They don't play with a lot of electronics. They have their time where they play on the iPad. They have their time where they watch television, but TV in general has never been a focus in my household, even before having children. We would go weeks and weeks and weeks with no TV. We had a detox with no TV. This is before my husband and I had children. So just because they came along doesn't mean it's gonna change. Of course, some things change. So now there's more kiddie programs that we hear than before, of course. But when people come around, they feel the difference. Like, oh my, no TV, but they love it every time. Every time people come through, they just love the energy of our space. As you can hear, all you hear is like little toys, and you hear kids, and you hear me. There's no television today. So, anyway, that's just my little share. Just me kind of opening. This is the opening video for me, you know, when I get ready to share more videos, more live feeds of me and my experience with my little ones as a stay-at-home mom. And even sometimes when my husband is home from work or on the weekends. Yes, the weekends are interesting. It can get pretty darn stressful around here. You would think that it would be easier because, you know, you got mama, daddy, and kids, but no, it's actually more stressful. And I even see how having children, how people say, oh, our marriage didn't fall to shambles until we had kids. Some people say it's when you get married, then your relationship goes to ruins. But then you have those people that say, no, it's when you have children. And I agree. Yes, when you have children, because children will show you a whole lot of stuff, can show you a lot of stuff about your partner. And I'm not just saying, you know, from the woman's perspective toward the man. Even the man, I'm pretty sure, like toward the women, because women can spaz out too in ways that a man won't. I have. Where my husband has been really laid back about things having to do with them acting up and acting all crazy. He's been more laid back and contained, even though he's gotten in his feelings a few times, but he's seen me turn into a mad woman. And, you know, so he's even seen probably sides of me that he's like, well, damn. So it will challenge your romantic relationships. Know this, and this is why a lot of people end up splitting up once they start to build a family. It's true. All right, but we're pushing through. Problems and all, stresses and all, we pushing through. All right, peace, love, light, and darkness. I always, you know, I love the darkness as much as I love the light. I must say that. All right.